You're listening to DraftKings Network.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
It is rare, Stugotz, that I come in here on a Monday and I am so moved by the general excellence that I have my breath taken away. But I am truly awed by how amazing and inspirational the Chargers are at losing. They should hold seminars.
They should, yes.
That was the fourth most efficient offensive performance of the season by anybody. Unfortunately, the Lions were third.
Lions are good, man.
Yeah, and the Steelers are also the same record as the 49ers, Jags, and Dolphins.
How?
I mean,
someone explain that to me. I have no idea how. How are the Steelers? I mean, Mike Tomlin's the obvious answer.
They're good at defense, and T.J. Watt sacks more people than anybody in 100 games except Reggie White. So, but they've been, in every single game that they have played, they have been outgained. They have played 9 games I don't want to watch. They have played 9 games that would make me not surprised if you told me they were 0-9.
My friend D Money has like a great riff on why Tomlin he thinks Tomlin's the best coach in the league. He's always been better than Belichick. And now that take is actually looking pretty good because Belichick without Brady looks like a different head coach. But he always says Mike Tomlin coaches like he knows the next hot young 40-year-old white guy is coming to take his job the second he goes 500. And it never freaking happens.
Video, can you get for me what appears to be a security camera recording, and we cannot validate that this is what it actually is.
In the days of AI, I mean, his body is oddly shaped.
Well, let me tell the people what it is that I'm going for before you tell them that Bill Belichick's body is oddly shaped. It appears, it doesn't, we cannot prove this. We do not know if it is so, but it appears that a Ring doorbell camera has caught a shirtless Bill Belichick somewhere in Southie. Coming out of his apartment or an apartment, taking a walk of shame.
He does not have an apartment.
Yeah. Well, but where he was may have been an apartment. You could say he doesn't, and certainly this wouldn't look like the neighborhood necessarily that Belichick would live in. But it does look like a walk of shame, and we'll get to that in a second, but not before we get to Duncan Robinson somehow being Michael Jordan against Wemby. He had 2 of the best offensive moves of his career in that game. Duncan Robinson, speaking of people coming for your jobs, he's worried about the next young black person coming to take his job because he's expanded his game from being just Kyle Korver, which is what he was for many years, to actually being someone who, Stugotz, this is what I talk about when I talk about where it is that these guys have to be mentally tough, because Duncan Robinson signs the $90 million contract. Shooting is hard. Shooting comes and goes. And when it went for Duncan for a while, they simply replaced him. And it looked like he was going to be an albatross of a contract on their bench. And he had to expand his game, or he would have been run out of the league survival of the fittest style because he wasn't mentally strong enough.
Right, but he did it. He expanded his game. He clearly worked hard in the offseason, and Duncan Robinson going to the rack, not just shooting threes, is something delightful to see, I think. Like, he did what he had to do, right, to stay in the league.
But all I'm saying is we can marvel at it. Instead of you just shrugging your shoulders, did what he had to do. That had to feel pretty dark, the expectations of I signed for $90 million.
Right.
And also I work in kind of a military complex of a bubble. They're cruel. They're mean. Jimmy Butler's talking shit to me every day. They sense weakness, and my career's in peril.
Right.
I'm being doubted rightly because I'm someone that the fan base doesn't trust to be strong, that doesn't trust to make the evolution that needs to be made so that he gets tougher.
But he has an opportunity here as an individual because they lost Strus, they lost Gabe Vincent, they lost some other guys, and both those guys, while good at shooting threes, especially Strus, could still get to the rim, could still make some other plays. Duncan couldn't do that, and he had an opportunity on this team to be able to do it.
Duncan's been able to do that sneaky for a few years now. It's just
That's
because
correct.
of what he looks like, nobody thinks he can do it.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why people are dubbing it sneaky. He's always been instinctual and cutting to the basket. It's the handles that are a new thing. Izzy is in a group chat of mine, and he was wondering aloud, does Duncan Robinson now have the deepest bag on the Miami Heat roster? Because he looks like a different player. And yes, I've certainly been a partaker in the charge against Duncan Robinson and wondering if you could trust this guy in the playoffs. I want to give him his flowers because he worked on his game this offseason. It is evident. He'll still have some answers to come up with in the playoffs, but right now, that was a hell of a performance. Defensively, he also has some questions that he needs to answer, but I mean, how can you not give him credit after that performance last night?
The other thing, too, is when you're told to do something specific in an offense and you're playing outside of that offense, the coach is going to tell you, what are you doing? I'm telling you to go shoot threes in the corner. You're not going to dribble around and pretend you're D Wade. That's not going to happen.
The part that is impressive with this, too, is, Dan, you mentioned it, like the darkness of it. Duncan put his name on that. Like, he's one of the few basketball players that says, yeah, I've been struggling mentally since getting this contract. It's been difficult for me. And last year, he was spending the majority of the season not only on the bench, but essentially he was playing 2-on-2 with Jamal Cain and Udonis Haslem and Drew Smith, guys who were developmental players. After already getting that money, working on his game in this way to try to add as much as he could to be better off the dribble, to become a better playmaker and passer. And now, Mike's right. Like, he has one of the most developed offensive games on this team, and that's so impressive considering at the beginning of his career, all he was a guy working in the dribble handoff with Bam and only shooting threes. He had that instinct to be able to cut, but to turn his game into this as a ball handler as well, it's really impressive, and it's really unlocked a lot for the Heat.
What are you shouting about?
Love a good ball handler.
Do you?
Weird energy to start a Monday morning.
Yeah.
Duncan Robinson's darkness. Yeah. Let's talk about a Heat regular season game, ball handler. It's football,
they
guys.
didn't win
Monday.
5 straight games all of last season, and now they've won 5 straight games.
They're a weird team, and watching
Basketball starts in February.
last night was the first, because of my competing agendas, last night was the first Heat game I watched start to finish. And now I'm convinced. No, this team is definitely a play-in team. I was worried. I was worried that they wouldn't make the play-in. Yeah, no, we are definitely a play-in team.
3 seed right now.
Billy, how was God Bless Football?
It was fine. It was, it went. I'm learning that I may be on an island where I said Mike Tomlin is Dave Wanstead.
What? Yeah, he said it.
Yeah, I may have said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In what way?
Well, in the way that, he'll get you to the playoffs every year, but he hasn't done anything in the last, 13 years.
He won a Super Bowl, Bill.
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl his second year as a coach in 2008. It's been 15 years since.
That's a lane. The anti-Tomlin lane.
It's not anti-Tomlin. He's a good coach, but,
okay, well,
Steelers fans are feeling this. I don't want to speak on behalf of the entire city of Pittsburgh, but they're wondering. He's getting his flowers. He's the coach of the year. He's the best coach in the NFL, but let's win something.
Yeah. I understand that in the range of these 4 minutes, we've gone from Mike Tomlin is Bill Belichick to Mike Tomlin is Dave Wanstead, and that's what we do when anyone surprises us, and certainly it's what we do when we can't explain that a team is better than we think it is. We give all of the credit to the coach, but I want to go back to that Belichick video again on a Ring camera of some sort. You tell me, Stugotz, is this Bill Belichick? Because I think there are
the sound helps here.
It does help.
Oh, man.
It looks like it looks
that is
like
his chest.
It's his whole body. It's the love handles. It's just not his neighborhood.
Disheveled hair.
Huh.
They are now 2-8, and Mac Jones just lost his job, I would imagine. And Bill Belichick is closer than he's ever been to the most losses of any football coach ever. I think he is now 6 losses away. It's really hard to watch the Patriots, but to me, the Patriots, Stugotz,
It's hard to watch this video. I mean,
the thing about the Patriots that feels to me like you've heard me say around here before, it's terrible to be broke, to be poor, but it's worse to be rich after you've been poor and then go back to being poor. The Patriots fan base, to go from what they were to watching that, clearly the bottom of the division, clearly worse than the Jets, who are god-awful, don't have a quarterback solution of any kind, and Mac Jones makes a terrible decision for no discernible reason, trying to find Gesicki.
That was Zappy.
Was it Zappy?
That was
Yeah, it was
Zappy.
Zappy.
Another
Yes.
terrible decision.
Yeah, Zappy
Yes.
had an interesting post game in which he's like, I can't say what I want to say. And then he just gave like a canned answer as to why they ran a fake spike in that play. But no, Bailey Zappi was a quarterback at the end of that game.
No, but he's right there. Gesicki was open in the end zone the drive before where he threw an interception, and that's what led
That's
to
what
him
got
getting,
him benched.
That's what got him benched, and Zappy decided to let
The
me throw into
worst
triple
throw.
coverage for some reason.
That Mac Jones throw that didn't go to Gesicki was the worst throw I've
Terrible.
ever seen.
Yep.
I mean, he was open, and Mac Jones ends up. When you're talking about Bill Belichick and your choices are Mac Jones or Zappy, and you've lost to the Colts, and it's 10-6 is the football game that you've played, and in that league, Stugotz, if you're 2-8, you're Carolina, you're Arizona, like those are the 1 and 2 win teams, and they fix it how?
Caleb Williams, keep losing. Maybe take May from North Carolina. It is a good quarterback class. I don't know if he'll be there to make that selection, though. That's the thing.
They're not trying to lose, though.
No, they're trying to win. He's always trying to win. Belichick.
He's really head bleeping Mac Jones, though. Like start, get benched, start, get benched, start, get benched. He's not, Mac Jones is not going to thrive in that environment.
Well, Duncan Robinson, what we were speaking of, you either get better or you fold it up. I just feel for anyone in that environment. It's hard. It's very difficult when you're in a locker room full of people who know that you're the problem. I mean, Tyler Van Dyke's got to feel like that. When everyone in your locker room
Zach Wilson has to feel like that.
is looking for you to be somebody that merely doesn't sabotage everything. You're not even looking for somebody to, game-winning drives or put the team on your shoulder. Just don't bleep it all up is all you're being asked of, and you can't even handle that. So, guys, Van Dyke this weekend had a chance to change the entire year for himself.
Yes, with a single drive.
With a drive, he had a chance to change so much of the hardship of this year. The Hurricanes now lose 4 times. I know Mike wants to, and he's not wrong, that it marks progress to play FSU that way. The problem is that what doesn't mark progress is losing to Georgia Tech and losing to North Carolina State, and now you're a 4-loss team. And your impressive wins are against the worst Clemson team in 10 years and against the Texas A&M team that just told their coach, hey, here's $77 million, please go away. And so that would have been your win.
Right.
That would have been your win for the season.
The signature win, right? Billy called it a signature loss for Mario Cristobal.
Signature victories of the moral variety.
It's a good loss for UM, right?
Yeah.
Like, number 4 team in the
yes.
country, you lose by a touchdown, you're in it until the end?
I think they're a 1.5 point dog to a Louisville team that we'll see when the rankings come out. Might be a top 10 team, so that'd probably be the best opportunity for a signature win here in year 2 for Mario Cristobal. It's a Miami team that lost 45-3 last year to FSU. They went in with a game plan, and I think we can all agree that it was the right move to put in Emory Williams. They say in college football that an interception's worth about 3.5 points, and over the last month and a half of the season, your quarterback's been given the other team about anywhere between 9 and 12 points. So you couldn't survive that
it's
at
10
FSU.
interceptions, isn't it? It's 10 interceptions he's thrown.
I think
in the last couple of weeks.
People go back to the offense that people saw from Miami earlier in the season, and they try to figure out, well, where's that offense? What happened with the quarterback? What's the correlation? And I do think that Mario Cristobal gave himself to a process on the offense that was more opened up. But once more tape got out there of Tyler Van Dyke and he struggled, I think the play calling tells you everything you need to know about the faith in all the quarterbacks. If you thought it was too conservative with Emory Williams, guess what? They wanted to be conservative with Emory Williams. They have more data on Emory Williams. What I'm a little frustrated by is Mario Cristobal said in the postgame they did game plan for a Jakari package, HBK. I mean, I think that goal line on the 5, that was a great opportunity for him. If you're worried that the kid's going to mishandle a snap, you're probably overthinking it a little bit. And also, if you're worried that the kid's going to mishandle a snap, probably shouldn't be on your football team. We're not that far removed from his Georgia Tech performance. I know we want to forget last year, but that's the best the team looked all of last year. I'd like to see Jakari play quarterback against Louisville this weekend.
Earlier this season, it was said that his win over Texas A&M was Mario Cristobal's signature win at Miami. That obviously has not played out that way. They fired Jimbo Fisher. they ate $76 million that they owe him, which is kind of insane. Then you beat Clemson. Clemson wasn't doing good at the time, but Clemson's righted the ship a little bit. Could the Clemson win now replace the Texas A&M win as a signature win? And also, can the loss to FSU be more impressive than both of those wins? Because I feel like that was the case.
Folks, listen up. US Cellular wants to help everyone get the gift of connection this holiday season. Already a customer? This applies to you too, because right now, new and current customers can get any phone, and I mean any phone, for free. Yes, free. Sounds like it's time to make the switch. Spread the holiday cheer far and wide this season with a new phone. Everyone can get the gift of connection at US Cellular. Get any phone free today. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
Don Batard.
Well, Charlie had this. Charlie, as far as I know, so just Charlie's title in my
Are you
going to
say anything?
Stugotz.
How familiar were you at the time with Chewbacca? Like how your upbringing had how much Chewbacca in it?
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz.
The Dolphins were very close yesterday with the Chargers to having a signature win in that Chargers-Lions game. The Dolphins were very close to having that yesterday.
And now they're in a tricky spot on Sunday against the Raiders because if they beat the Raiders, who are presently 500, then that's not a good win. But if they lose, then the Raiders become a winning team, but you can't beat them if you lose to them. It's a mind bleed.
I was thinking back to what Chris was doing last week or the week before, where
Apology
he's
accepted.
Well, I haven't finished what I was saying yet. So we say that the Dolphins haven't beat a team with a winning record for whatever it was, since when was
A good
it?
team, I feel like, is what the debate was.
No, it was a winning record.
C.J. Stroud is now 4-1 against winning teams.
The MVP?
But they beat the Ravens in a great game, like week 2 of last season. That game doesn't count.
Good win.
The Ravens, Billy, I saw
The Ravens weren't a playoff team last year, though, right?
I
don't think so.
I can't figure them out.
Well, here I'll give
Lamar
you.
got hurt.
I will tell you what you need to know about that team in terms of figuring them out. Because the last 2 seasons, the Ravens have lost 7 games, and all of them have been like yesterday's. They're leading in the fourth quarter. All of them, they've got a 75% or better. When Lamar Jackson plays, that team in the fourth quarter is up double digits when Lamar Jackson plays. But 7 times in the last 2 seasons, one of them against the Dolphins, Stugotz, they end up coughing the whole thing up. You can make the argument that the Ravens healthy should look like the 49ers, just steamrolling everybody and having leads in the fourth quarter that normally good teams can hold, but that one can't, because the only time the Ravens lose, it's like they lost yesterday, where they're up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Their win probability is between 75% and more than 90%. The 7 times they've lost, and they keep losing those games.
They're good for a couple of those a year, it seems like. Mike, they did make the playoffs last year. They were 10-7, made the playoffs, lost in the first round. So
it was 7 of them. It's not a couple of times a year. It is now the last couple of seasons, a quarter of the season. That's how you beat the Ravens, and it's the only way to beat the Ravens. They are also a 3-loss team like the Steelers.
I figured out the Dolphins stat. They hadn't beat a team with a winning record since week 3 of 2022. The Ravens was week 2, so it was prior to that.
Duke, how would you approach this week against the Raiders? You're a 9.5-point favorite, but if you beat them, they become a losing team.
No, well, you have to win that game. You have to win out.
Must win?
The narrative continues.
It's a must-win game. Yeah.
It's not a must-win.
And the Raiders are a different team now, friends.
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce's Raiders are a totally different team than Josh McDaniels' Raiders. Can we agree with that?
Yes.
Well, yeah, they're winning.
They're 2-0, yes. Congratulations, Billy. That's excellent analysis from you. If you want more
That's why
of
he's
that,
the Duke.
God bless football. More as the Duke continues to ascend up the rankings, national and international, in scope for his football expertise. He is here to tell you that the Raiders of 2-0 are better than the Raiders of Josh McDaniels.
He got caught up today, but I think it's a great stat. It was a mistake, but he said if the season ended today, this team would still be in the hunt. I love that stat.
That's true.
Antonio Pierce, more like Antuano Pierce.
Get out of here.
Oh, Jesus.
Get out of here before you even finish that.
Wow.
Can the video room please get for me, because you mentioned the Jets, and I want to put up on the screen some airplane video that I have, Stugotz, because I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I want to shame this person off of last night's 16-12 loss. I want you to look right now at the television screen here, Stugotz, at your most famous fan. This is Fireman Ed. I'm not sure we're still making Eds. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Are we still making Eds? Here he is on an airplane trying to get the Jets fans, Jets in a jet, trying to get them fired up before Raiders Jets. Here it is with spelling.
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets.
Pathetic.
It's coming to you from 29C.
Wait a minute. Don't wealth shame Fireman Ed. He's a fireman.
I was right back there with him on the way to
He's a fireman.
He's a fireman. What do you want him? You want him rolling first class? Like, when they'd be suspect. I want to point out, though, I don't think this can be said enough. That man quit. That man quit and was allowed back. He very publicly, famously quit. That's his identity. Right there, what you saw. That guy is Fireman Ed. And what he's most famous for is riding with the Jets straight into last place for many, many years.
He's on Cameo, $80.
No.
Oh yeah,
$80.
He should be flying first class. You are right, Chris Cody, to shame him for 29C when he clearly, well, Cameo, he's on Cameo for $80, but we don't know how much action.
They take a big chunk.
He's, well, and you
They
know,
do. I mean, how many people are paying $80 for Fireman Ed to do a cameo?
And heaven forbid you book it on an Apple product, because you get 8 cents.
Yeah, he's probably getting like $50 a pop for that, 40.
He quit. The Jets broke him. He publicly quit. He went away for a couple of years. What about this unit brings him back?
It was Rodgers. He was like, "Oh, I'm back, baby," and then it was like, "Oh, he's hurt. All right, I got to stick around."
Yeah, but he came back last year, I think. Was it Zach Wilson, perhaps?
Is Aaron Rodgers now someone who's going to be back by December?
No.
Is that what what are you saying no for?
Dan, I just can't imagine. Like, we asked Austin Eckler last week. I know every athlete's different, but he's a world-class athlete. And I asked him, do you think Rodgers is coming back? And he said, I know you're a Jets fan, but no. Like, you don't come back from that injury, he said.
That's what everyone's saying, except it seems Aaron Rodgers is telling people that he is coming back before the end of the year.
He told Melissa Stark last night, "Yeah, I'll be back by mid-December," which in my calculations is like a month from now. Yeah, like 4 weeks.
Couple of fortnights.
Stugotz, so you talked to Austin Eckler, but what do you do with that information? It's not like they're hiding. If Aaron Rodgers seems to expect to be back for cold weather games in December.
I don't know why he would come back. I don't know why he would rush to come back. They have the Bills. They have the Dolphins twice. They have a very difficult portion of their schedule coming up. They're currently not a playoff team. Like, what's the rush? Why is he rushing to come back if indeed he can come back?
He turns 40 in December.
Mike, I know.
No, but career mortality.
But you save it for next year. I mean, you got to approach it
At
like
least-
there is no next year. That's his approach. He's going to be 40 on December 2nd.
He signed through next year. And so why not ensure yourself that you're going to be as healthy as you could possibly be
because he
headed
plays
into next
football
season?
And there's no such thing as healthy as you can possibly be. There's just not.
At max, you're probably thinking, considering his career, and we'll see what happens when he takes the field, but his production has dipped a little bit. He's at the end of his career. This is when you do rush it.
Mike, he won back-to-back MVPs not too long ago, like 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
He was incredible.
He had the best 2 years of his career.
Yeah, that was then, and Drew Brees totally fell off
Every
in a
quarterback
shorter window.
No, look, just so we understand the history of this. Every quarterback in the history of the sport not named Tom Brady has fallen apart at this age. It's not a few of them. It's not one of them. It's all of them. It's Peyton Manning. It's all of history's quarterbacks at this age fall apart. But Stugotz, they think they have a championship defense. They are playing the entirety of this season just to remain in the playoff hunt until he gets back because he's playing for the end of his career.
For the now. I understand that. Right.
But more than ever because of his age.
Right. But you lose to the Raiders, like, It depends. In mid-December, if they're not in the hunt, what's the point of coming back? Because I don't think they'll be in the hunt anymore.
Well, I think at that point, the point of coming back would just be to tell everyone to bleep off he's bigger and better than doctors and science and health and can't be contained by things like human limit. He might quote Austin Eckler on God Bless Football saying, bleep off. You don't know me. You don't know anything about science.
Kentucky Fried Chicken's 2 for $5 wraps are back. And they're even introducing a new mac and cheese chicken wrap. Are you kidding me? Mac and cheese in a wrap? Two of my favorite things in the entire world. That is in addition to the classic and spicy slaw wraps. Creamy mac and cheese, a hand-breaded crispy chicken tender, and 3 cheese blend, all wrapped in a pillowy tortilla. God, do I love a pillowy tortilla. Order ahead on the app and cheer on tasty goodness with KFC's 2 for $5 wraps. It's finger looking good.
Stugotz here for my friends over at Simply Safe. I love them. I have had their system in my house for many, many years now. It is fantastic, especially the Video Doorbell Pro. Amazing. Listen, there's never a wrong time to protect your home, but this fall happens to be an especially good time because you get up to 50% off a brand new Simply Safe home security system. Simply Safe is comprehensive protection for the whole home with advanced sensors that detect break-ins, fires, floods, and more, plus HD cameras for both inside and out. So if you're traveling around this holiday season, have some peace of mind with the best security system out there. It is Simply Safe. It's powered by 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day, half the cost of traditional home security, with a new 24/7 live guard protection and the Smart Alarm wireless indoor camera. Satisfaction is backed by Simply Safe's money-back guarantee. Try Simply Safe for 60 days, risk-free. If you don't love it, return your system for a full refund. You have nothing to lose. For a limited time, save up to 50% on any new system with a Fast Protect plan. Visit simplysafe.com/DLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Don Le Batard.
We got Afrini Hardaway.
Freeney? Who was a Freeney Hardaway?
I was trying to read fast. UD was on the team. Luke Jackson. Bobby Jones. The Matrix, Shawn Marion.
Stugotz.
Zoe, Shaq, Smush Parker. Chris Quinn.
Hey, wait a minute.
D. Wade.
Wait a minute.
Jason Williams, Darrell Wright. I mean, stacked roster.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Wemby was really bad last night.
Yep.
Really bad. Bam is a problem, a veteran, skilled, sculpted defender, 19 years old. That I don't know if I've seen Wembanyama have a worse game than that. A bunch of turnovers.
Two games prior.
Couldn't make a three. Just really dreadful. And
He's only played 10 games. I mean,
Mike's takes affecting me. I'm rooting against him now.
really,
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. I saw last night. I saw
Against Wemby or against Mike?
against the Wemby. The Duncan Robinson thing happened, and I sent it to Mike. I was like, "See that?
Thank you.
Victory for us."
Thank you. No, the
That was a
movement.
double dribble.
The movement
carry,
is
at least.
growing, and I watched the game start to finish last night, and I found an unlikely ally in my crusade to save the game of basketball from Victor Wembanyama. Mm-hmm. I found it in Greg Popovich. Because Greg Popovich is coaching this young man exactly the way that you would want to if you want to protect the game of basketball against someone that should be illegal. And let's face it, he's too tall. Unreasonably tall. Unlawfully tall. Should not be allowed in the game. But thankfully, they think they've got a perimeter player over there. An 8-foot perimeter player that somehow does not keep his feet. Oh, thank God for the way that you are coaching Victor Wembanyama.
how many turnovers last night?
7.
Did you have? Yeah.
7. Did you know that he is worse from the field than Duncan Robinson? Did you know that he is worse from the field than Terry Rozier? Fact, Terry Rozier is 3 feet shorter than Victor Wembanyama.
Scary Terry.
That's not a fact.
That is a fact.
That is not a fact.
Yes, it is.
It's a fact, Dan.
Terry Rozier is not 4'3". You don't get to make your own facts now. That's not you. You didn't even hear him, and you sure as shit didn't do the math correctly.
Look it up.
On what 3 feet is. I don't have to. One of them's 7'4". The other one's not 4'4".
Thank God we are protecting the game of basketball by letting this guy pretend he's Kevin Durant. Oh, you know, he should be treated more like Giannis. We were talking about it before the show because he's got aspects to his game that he can develop once he settles in on the inside. But they don't want to get down to the fundamentals with him. It's crazy. I mean, keep your feet. Just put Put a hand in the air, Chief. What are you doing?
Get in the paint.
All right.
Yes.
For all the common sense people that are listening to this and being like, how is this crazy person allowed with a microphone talking about Wemby this way? With a bad game, he still finished 18, 11, and 7. So there's stuff there. And Mike,
The 7 is the turnovers, yes.
Mike, no. It's the assists.
Okay, so 7 and 7.
Compiler.
No, but if you equal that out, it's actually 0. So he had a
Tony,
double-double.
did you see the
18-11.
fadeaway that he took at the baseline with nobody guarding him?
Sure, but not the point.
At 9 foot 5
points.
inches,
Bigger
he
point
took
than
a
that.
fadeaway jumper.
With no one guarding him.
Uncontested.
Not the point.
Everyone keeps saying, why would you wouldn't put Kevin Durant at 19 years old in the post. I'm 38 years old. I remember Kevin Durant at 19. Do not compare the two just because they're lanky. Let's get this guy on the inside and have him practice bounce passes for an entire practice.
Oh, no.
What year is it, Mike?
Fundamentals.
What year is it?
You literally have someone in your legendary franchise that is called the Big Fundamental.
Yeah.
Put him on the block.
Yes.
Keep your feet.
Preach.
Maybe take a charge or two.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? Wemby, new strategy. You got 6 fouls. Let's make him earn it at the cup. Let's do a little some of that instead of pretending that he's Terry Rozier.
Put it on the poll,
Poor
please, Juju.
4'7" Terry Rozier.
At Batard Show, should Wembanyama get in the gym and practice just chest passes for a month?
Fundamentals, Dan.
He is obviously a very raw player still. He is making a huge impact just by standing in the paint. And what he does for their offense by existing the way that he does on the perimeter is super helpful. But last night, when guarded by Bam Adebayo, 2 for 6 from the field with 5 turnovers. And Haywood Highsmith was giving him issues as well. It is interesting to watch as he tries to get into the post, smaller defenders starting to bug
He
him.
hasn't had answers for Thomas Bryant or Mitchell Robinson. Do you remember how much we were laughing at Mitchell Robinson?
But he is 19 years old.
That's not true. That first of all,
Excuse me, with a 19 years old.
No,
I remember
Mike,
elite players entering the league at 19.
Mitchell Robinson bothered him. I'm not going to dispute that. But when you bring Thomas Bryant around, the reason I was introduced to Thomas Bryant was just the look of his face. The reason I know what his face looks like was the look of his face one time when Wembanyama dunked from like the free throw line and he could not believe what had just happened. He popped up from the bottom of my screen, and that's when I got a good look at his shocked face.
I don't know what's happened with this discourse. I don't disagree with the man's ceiling. Hell, his head is at it. We need to stop this man, and it begins right now.
This is what I like about what you're doing, because it's right out of the Colin Cowherd book. This will all age very poorly, but he'll get to say it for 2 years until it ages. And he's got a chance that he'll also get hurt because of his body type. So you are taking an unbelievably safe route at the trough that no one is taking on Wembanyama.
No.
You are his biggest public hater.
No,
and
I'm not.
You're saying that
I am a
Dan.
champion of the game.
Yeah.
You were saying
I am a guardian of the great game of basketball. You mean to tell me that if Victor Wembanyama fulfills his promise in 2 years' time, I'm going to get to be wrong? Yeah. No, sir. That's the future, the dystopian future that I'm trying to protect us from. I'm John Connor. I've been sent from the future. I am your only hope. And me and Greg Popovich, thank God.
That's the problem.
Woo!
The problem
That
with
guy is overrated.
The problem with what you're saying is
Thank God for him.
you are obnoxious in many ways, but when you tell Greg Popovich that he's got it all wrong strategically on how it is that he's developing a player, you have gone too far.
I'm just trying to protect the great game of basketball.
That's all he's doing.
If he realizes that all he has to do
Thumbs in.
is step in the paint and occasionally step out so he's not called with an illegal defense, we're screwed.
This looks like a good moment we're putting up here for Wemby.
This is Thomas Bryant shutting him down, according to Mike Ryan.
That's the preseason.
That's a preseason.
Do it in the regular season, Dan.
That's a doctored photo. They were wearing red uniforms last night. They were wearing red uniforms.
The Heat were down 19 in that game. 19-point leads no longer matter in that sport.
Never has a lead in the NBA mattered less. I've seen the Heat go up by 25 and go down by 25, and as long as it's not with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter,
It's a
the
game
lead
of runs.
is not safe. It's crazy with the three-point shooting in the game right now, where you have Duncan Robinson and Josh Richardson
he
and
tried last
Jaime
night.
Jaquez hitting threes. It was unbelievable.
He tried last night. He rattled one in. Thank God for Jay Rich.
Hey, 16 points, 6 of 7 from the field.
I know I'm categorized as a Wemby hater when I'm really just a basketball lover. But I will give the kid credit. He was the second best rookie on the court last night. No doubt.
Again, 19 years old. This isn't the climate.
What is that? Again,
LeBron came in at
9'5".
18 and like dominated.
Yes, like they're-
19 means
Thank
nothing.
you.
And also had some
Thank
of
you,
his
Billy.
worst games then, too. And also physically wasn't overmatched. Was not overmatched physically.
Are you saying the 8'7" Victor Wembanyama is overmatched physically?
He weighs 100 pounds.
Did you just say
Yes.
a dude that is 11 feet tall
That's right.
is overmatched
That's
physically?
correct. Yes.
How many excuses must you make? There have been so many great generational players that we've identified coming into the draft, and they don't disappoint, thankfully, because they have good, smart coaches, not overrated
all of
ones.
them do at this age. Almost all of them at this age have ups and downs.
Mike, would you rather have Victor Wembanyama or Haywood Highsmith on your team? Because I know who I'm taking.
Look,
All right, Jeremy,
am
go
I
sit
home?
outside again.
Am I home?
Wait, he just asked a question. He didn't give his answer.
He just
He didn't give an
asked.
answer. Highsmith, right?
I would take Victor Wembanyama because he's a cheat code.
Wow.
And when it becomes
I'm not
about my
doing
Miami Heat, I'm going to stop guarding the game and then just be full homer.
Is he a bust?
Yes. Wow. So far.
Okay, enough. I'm going to stop you there.
Okay, let's switch.
bust?
I will stop being annoying. Let's switch gears to Miami FSU.
No.
You know, I went over to Doak Campbell Stadium, and there was one thing that I did not know. By the way, Doak Campbell Stadium.
Mike, what was in that drink this morning?
By the way, Doak.
What was in that-
Can I finish?
What was-
You're interrupting me.
He's talking about the dope.
Are you
being
ever
very rude.
going to finish?
You're being very rude.
What was
you're
in
being
your
very rude.
drink?
You're being very rude. I was at Doak Campbell Stadium. I didn't see a single F1 track. Not a one. Not a world-class tennis center. Nothing. Did you know this? I learned this being there. Doak Campbell Stadium is the second largest brick structure on the planet. Wow. Did you know that? Do you know what's first?
Great Wall of China?
No, Victor Wembanyama.
Ah, yes.
You go sit in the penalty box.
Oh, no.
You go sit in the penalty box for a while. I don't know what was in that red drink that he had before the show.
Mysterious red
but
drink,
He
Dan.
is up. He is in the sky. He is revving very high. Get out of here. You're giving yourself laughs.
incredible joke.
Okay.
It's an incredible joke.
And you railroaded me off of the show to make it.
Did you guys know there's a Fat Tuesdays at Dadeland Mall?
What?
Of course there is.
It's the craziest thing. It's a food court where you buy food, but Fat Tuesdays just makes ice slushies with lots and lots of alcohol.
Hell yeah.
Why would you think if I'm going to Dadeland Mall, I need a Fat Tuesdays here?
It used to be where the Churromania is, but they moved it inside the mall now.
Which is the strongest one with the liquor? Is it the Call a Cab? The one which is the strongest Fat Tuesdays drink that is not moonshine? It might as well be.
It's like gasoline.
190
basically.
proof. It is like lighter fluid or turpentine, and then you just with orange slush in it.
They mix it with a good color, and you're like, "Ooh, I can have that."
It's the
Or three of them.
190 octane.
Yeah, they call it
That's what
octane. Yeah.
High octane, baby.
Yeah.
How is Fat Tuesdays doing? Is Wet Willie's still a thing? Like what? How many ripoffs and copycats do the frozen drink slushies? It's really like, do you want to get drunk and also have the delightful frosty taste of candy in your mouth? Candy with a kick because it's moonshine.
Their website, because we came to look up the drinks, it has good security. It says, "Are you over 21?" And you just say yes, and they're like, "Okay, you're in. Here's all our drinks. This is what you
Just
want."
like Fat Tuesdays in real life.
Fat Tuesdays didn't survive COVID on Miami Beach. They had to close it. It was the sad walk when we walked by and you saw Fat Tuesdays was no longer there. Wet Willie survived though, as far as I know.
I can't tell. I still
Really?
can't tell. It looks like it may not have survived. It looks like the pandemic did a battering to our frozen street of liquors with aftertaste.
Well, they messed up that whole Ocean Drive with the one-way traffic situation. That ruined foot traffic, and then people not going. I talked to someone at Mango's. They told me they couldn't wait for that to open, to not be open to just foot traffic anymore. Who walks
Local
here?
reporter Billy Gill talking to people at Mango's.
Amazing, yeah. There are 25 Fat Tuesdays remaining.
Really?
Oh, wow.
How many Senor Frogs are there? That one's not still open on the beach.
No,
Those guys gotta be like three of them.
There's basically like Nassau, and then that's it, right?
Is Mango still one of the top 10 profiting nightclubs in the United States? Top 10 in the United States.
Not off of food and drinks.
No, it's clearly off of the erotic sex industry.